All right, hello there, people.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. Let me turn this up so I can hear. There we go. Turn it up. Good. Law. Tonight is brought to you by Diet Dr. Pepper, the best tasting pepper in the world.
Of course.
Okay, what do y'all want to talk about?
It doesn't look real appetizing. The now I can't think of I lost it. It just looks
Okay.
like the fish or cooking method we're using. The deep poaching is what we would use with the salmon, correct?
You're going to poach both.
Okay.
I'm going to show you, and it's actually pretty amazing. But
I watched the videos and understand where it could get all the flavor that it's getting, but it just, I've seen better things look better.
well, you make it look better.
Oh, that's right. That's my job.
That's right. You make it look better.
A random question for you.
I like random questions. We can start with a rabbit hole.
I love it. Okay. I live in the rabbit hole. Okay. Just different rabbit holes. Anyway, shrimp. When you are served shrimp at restaurants, why do they leave the tail on so you have to pick them off or cut them off? Like, why is there extra work involved?
So I'm leaving the tail on the shrimp that I'm going to poach, and I'm going to do a plating. But generally in the restaurant world, it's all about, I mean, not 100% exclusively, but it's really about presentation, plate presentation. And the shrimp, there's so much more you can do from a presentation standpoint if the shrimp still has the tail on. It'll stand up, the weight, it'll balance a little bit better, and it looks better on the plate. Is it a little more work? Yes, but it's not nearly as much work as what my sister grew up calling peel 'em and eat 'em shrimp. You ever heard that term? I only
Yes.
in my house growing up, my mom's term, but peel 'em and eat 'em shrimp is really great. Well, it's a lot of work. It's better if there's just, so full disclosure, I agree with you, Tara. In my house, for just my own purposes, I want the shrimp to be all naked. And the tail comes off and the shell comes off and the poop sack comes out. And then it's just a shrimp I can put in my mouth. I don't have to do any work, and I'm not biting on any shell that's left behind. But when we're when we're cooking for the public, it is, I mean, it's almost 50-50. It's just as much the eye appeal and how it looks on the plate as much as the ease of use and the flavor, all of that. You eat with your eyes first. If it looks good, then it probably is good. That's not always the case.
This is true.
I am not telling you to leave the shell, to leave the tail on. I am strongly suggesting you need to peel and devein the shrimp before you do anything with it. But just to clarify, Terry and I talked about this yesterday. I just want us all to understand what's happening today. And the reason, really the main reason why you're sitting at your table or your desk or your rocking chair or your easy chair, and I'm doing a little bit of cooking, and I asked you not to prepare and not to cook today, is because there are so many different directions you can go with the ingredients that we're working with, and plate presentation idea, and how you want to present your plate, what you're thinking about or what you may think about, that will drive what you cook, how you cook, how you prep. You know, you're going to make both of these poaching liquids with carrots and celery and onion, but maybe you want to use the carrots a certain way, so you're going to cut them a certain way. And I don't want to pigeonhole anybody as we go throughout the remainder of the semester. We will cook together. There will be times that we might do this, and I want to leave you with a lot more creative freedom than feeling like you have to do exactly what I'm doing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Now y'all can
Which
email
brings up
me.
another question.
Okay, but before you do, Tara's been really good about this, and she can tell you, you can give me feedback, and it doesn't hurt my feelings. This is all an evolving thing, and so if what we're doing tonight it doesn't jive with you, y'all text me, email me, and say, Chef, I really like the food, but what we did tonight was pretty dumb. I want to go back to cooking together. Whatever. Don't call me dumb, because make me cry. I'm thin-skinned, but I appreciate your feedback, and it does make a difference, doesn't it, Tara?
Yeah.
I will.
For the record, I never called you dumb or what we were doing dumb. Just
She never did. She never did. That's my words, and I'm glad, because I would be standing here crying already if somebody did. But Erlene, you had a question, so drive on.
Yes. If we're gonna be poaching both of them, can I go ahead and make the court bouillon?
Right now?
No, well, I'm talking about in the sauce that we poach them in. Does it need to be in that kind of sauce, that kind of liquid?
Yes.
Okay.
If you want to make notes of what I'm doing, for you to do that, yes, drive on.
Okay.
Note
Thank
away. I'll blow some of this up. I need to move one camera around, I believe, so that I want you to see, y'all have done really good. Oh no, the bald head is big. I see myself on the camera and I think,
At least you have a good shaped head.
it's Charlie Brown. It's the egghead. I have 3 little hairs right here. Did Charlie Brown have like 3 little hairs?
One wax strip will take
Yes,
care of
yeah.
that, Chef.
Yeah, he does.
Wait,
Hey,
you
Chef.
know that little, it used to be a toy you buy in the toy department. It was on a cardboard card, and it had the face that had little metal filaments in it. And you had the little mag
Pin.
in, and you move the metal filaments up to give him hair and beard and stuff.
You talking about Mr. Potato Head?
Not Mr. Potato Head. It was a little magnet thing. The
Okay.
yellow.
The pin would draw the magnet and it
Yeah.
would look like place it on your head or wherever you wanted it.
Pin the tail on the donkey? No
No.
teeth.
You had a big red nose and you could take your pin and come down and scoop up some magnets and put them over and drop them like on his head or his chin. And it was just busy time for kids.
That
It is,
sound
it's,
like
a, it's a
op-
flat
oper-
drawing.
sound like
and
operation.
they're
I
iron
think I know
fil-
what you're talking about.
It's a flat drawing. There are iron filings in it. And you have a little magnet, and you touch the magnet,
Kind of like an etch a
Back
sketch.
at top, and you
except
drop
with
the-
the
Yes,
magnet.
yes.
and you drag and drop the iron filings for its hair.
Oh.
Somebody in a previous job, somebody told me I look like that guy.
Your nose isn't big and red.
Happy early birthday, Terry.
Wait,
Huh?
Happy early birthday, Terry.
Oh, thank you.
when's Terry's birthday?
Tomorrow.
It's tomorrow.
Did we talked about that last week, didn't we?
I think
don't
so.
know.
Mine Friday.
I was supposed to bring cupcakes to class.
What you say?
I made cupcakes yesterday.
Why didn't you have enough for all of us?
I do have enough. That's what we're doing for a chef banquet.
Okay.
That's what the baking class is doing.
So, mise en place. Different approaches. Here is all at one time, individual components of the one dish for today is all laid out and, organized in a way. This is how you would mise for a TV show. So I'm going to do this dish. Everything is cut and sliced and diced and weighed and measured so that it's just a symbol. You see? And so you don't have to mise like this, but I just wanted to show you another way, another option. And now I'm going to give you, earthquake. Move this back over here. Doesn't that make you sick?
A little
No.
bit.
No.
Okay. From a pot and pan standpoint, you didn't see that. I've got two pretty large sautés, and that's what I'm going to poach in. And both of those have lids. Poaching with lids is pretty important. So have a lid. You might want a, if you follow one of the YouTubes, or maybe it's one of the recipes, you would poach and cover, instead of covering with a lid, you're covering with a piece of parchment. Part of poaching is we want to keep we want to keep the heat in. We want to keep the liquid in. What we lose in steam, we want to recirculate back into the poaching liquid. Keep it all in the pot. And so that's where a lid is important. We're at a low enough temperature that we're not going to lose very much, but we don't really want to concentrate any of these flavors. And so I've got 3 sautés. Here I'm holding my hands up and stuff to the camera and you can't see me. 3 sautés, 2 of them are large with lids. 1 is a little bit smaller, and that is going to be for the spinach.
On one of the videos, I thought where it said something about you get just to our simmering point and then you can finish it in the oven.
Yeah, we're not going to do that.
Okay.
You can't control it. So we're going to go off of this recording.
Okay.
After we're done, just like all the other Zooms, we're going to put this up in Blackboard, and there you go. 3 sautés, 2 large lids, 1 medium size with for the spinach, 2 large ones are for the poach, and then a smaller medium saucepan, and that's going to be to boil the potatoes. Okay. We've done some simmering before, but today is really going to be about boil and poach. And these are 2 extremes of liquid temperatures that we would use for cooking. Simmer is in the middle. So boil is the highest temperature. Rolling boil is a lot of movement on the surface of the water, the cream, the milk, the wine, the stock, whatever liquid you're using. Rolling boil is the highest temperature. Water boils in Little Rock, Arkansas at about 210.5 degrees. We're at almost 400 feet elevation above sea level. 212 degrees is the boiling point of water at sea level. The further up you go, 400 feet is not a significant difference.
Wow.
But the boiling point of water in Provo, Utah, that has an elevation of over 4,000 feet, is about 205 degrees. Baking, boiling, a lot of cooking methods we have to alter a little bit at higher elevation. Cooking in Denver, Colorado is a little, the method is the same, but the feel is different than it is here just because of temperature and pressure differences.
Mm-hmm.
So boiling point is roughly 212 and above. Simmer is kind of in the middle. And that is roughly 185 to about 210, up to boiling. That's simmer. And simmer is going to look like, you can see, if you're simmering water, you see all the bubbles along the sides and the bottom of the pan, and you have bubbles coming off of the pan and just popping at the surface, but there's no real agitation of the water. If you see that, you'll have a little steam coming off. That is a simmer, about 185 up to boiling. Poach is about 160. That's a really, really low poach. 160 to about 185. So you can use a thermometer, or what I'm about to show you, you can come up to a boil and then lower the temperature a little bit and lower the temperature a little bit more and lower the temperature a little bit more until you get to exactly the point that you want. Okay. So before we get into any of these poaches, I'm going to move this pan over and just so I can pull up this other. We're gonna make two sauces, but the recipes that you have is just one. So I'm gonna give you an idea. I'm gonna give you a surprise sauce, okay, from the stuff that we're already doing. So let's go to another camera here, and we're gonna put together this first sauce. The first sauce is the recipe that you have. Okay, I have this sitting on the burner, but the burner's not on. We're not cooking it. I just did this so I don't have to move cameras around everywhere and it's easier to see. And so this is the horseradish caper sauce. Y'all familiar with capers?
Yes.
Yes.
You like capers?
I love them.
Yes.
They're Greek. They only come from the Mediterranean, maybe some in Sicily, but really, most of the capers that we in the U.S. are from Greece. It's a coastal plant. It's a bush, and they don't taste right off the bush. They don't taste the way they taste when we get them. We get them packed in a brine. And it's I think they're wonderful, really nice. A little bit of crunch and that pop of almost mustard flavor. I love mustard. So I'm going to reserve just a few capers in case I might want to use those for a little bit of garnish for plate presentation. And so I'm going to put in a little garlic. Now, full disclosure here, I may be deviating just a little bit from exactly the recipe. Okay, remember, this class is not necessarily, it's not about reproducing a specific recipe. This class is about method, right?
Yes.
So there you go. Little onion, really finely diced. They're even minced like the garlic. Horseradish, I like it, so I use maybe a lot more than the recipe calls for, but there you go. Use horseradish according to have y'all used horseradish before? Do you like it or you don't like it?
Yes.
I'm familiar
Yes,
with it.
I have, but years ago.
So chef, I hate horseradish. Will it taste okay to not use it?
You won't, don't do this sauce.
Okay.
The capers and the horseradish work together a certain way, and it's kind of mustardy. And so, Tara, you might want to do just a different sauce for your salmon.
Okay. Chef, would a Dijon mustard replace the horseradish and capers?
No, that would be a completely different sauce. I wouldn't want to mix Dijon mustard and sour cream and buttermilk. If you want Dijon mustard or you want some brown mustard, honey mustard out of this very basic court bouillon, some salmon with some spicy brown mustard and honey. Very, very simple. That would be pretty nice. And that might go really well on the same plate with the shrimp, poached basically in orange juice. So just ideas. That could be something that you just Google. Salmon, give me a sauce with blah, 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 whatever you like, whatever you want. Maybe just use the poaching liquid. Here, the surprise sauce is for the shrimp. We're going to reduce the poaching liquid for the shrimp. We're going to reduce it down almost to a syrup. And then we're going to toss the shrimp and use that sauce on the plate for the shrimp. Tara, maybe you want to use just that sauce for your salmon, the shrimp and the salmon. That would be pretty amazing as well. But I wouldn't personally. I wouldn't just leave the horseradish out for this sauce. It's such a key component because you'll be left with something that's not bad, but really, really bland. And the salmon is going to be compared to our filet à poivre, compared to our ribeye with compound butter. The salmon's going to be really, really bland and is going to need some kind of sauce. Like this. Now I'll add the sour cream. That was too much for my taste. I don't like sour cream too much, but anyway, there you go. I'm going to put in some buttermilk and mix this in really well. And I might add a little more buttermilk. I might not. The consistency that I'm going to want for the sauce on my plate, that's all I'm after here. That's pretty good like this. I'm going to put in some finely chopped chives, and I'm going to save some chives maybe for my plate. And I'll come back to that later. Why do you think I would do this sauce first?
To have time for the flavors to marry?
Yes. Macerate.
Yes.
That's the word that we use. It's not in the textbook, so it's not a key term that I've given you in last semester or this semester. You won't see it in writing, but that's what we're doing. When you put sugar on berries, say you put some mixed berries in a bowl and you put a little bit of sugar and maybe just a little splash of Grand Marnier and give that a little stir. You're letting those set not just to create a little syrup, but you want those to macerate. And so it's the same thing as marinate, but we're not breaking down any protein fibers or anything like that. So if we're doing this to prepare the protein for further cooking, then the right term is marinate. To do this like with a sauce, with berries, with other things that we just need flavor to marry together, like Terry said, the term is macerate.
Okay.
There you go. Okay, let's talk about a very, very basic but delicious court bouillon. This is very, very classical deal. And so I might be going a little bit heavier than the recipe calls for, especially with the wine. Because if you're following just exactly the recipe that's out of the textbook that I put in Blackboard, I think it only calls for wine like a couple of tablespoons or something like that. You know, a couple of tablespoons of wine and 3 or 4 cups of water. No, you don't get any mileage at all out of that. And so I'm using a pretty hefty amount compared to just a few tablespoons. So if you're keeping score, I put in about 1.5 cups.
Jeff, does it need to be a dry white wine or a sweet white wine?
So I've learned from chefs that trained me, the best answer to that is whatever wine you drink, whatever wine you might serve with that dinner, that's the wine you're going to use. And a dry wine, a sweet wine is really going to be a matter of your taste and your personal preference. Now, there may be some or there may be some chefs that have a very specific, you need to blah, blah, blah. I'm using a Chablis because that's what we have here for just this everyday cooking. But I know what I use at home, a Mormon boy that doesn't know really a whole lot about hooch. I think a Chardonnay is sweeter, especially when you cook with it. And my taste prefers the sweet because I have the diabetes. I have too many sugars in my blood and I like more sweet. That's probably it. But anyway, I know that's a very vague answer, Erlene, but really whatever it is you like.
I've just noticed in a lot of the recipes, not only in what we're doing, but a lot of white wine is used. And I thought, I drink a blush or a red wine, but I need to invest in some white wine.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of wine, a little bit of white, especially today. It's fish, it's seafood. And just white is going to be very, very traditional, very classical.
Okay, thank you.
I am going to put in a little bit of water. And what I've done here is about equal parts water and wine. So in this pan, given the size of the salmon fillet that I have, I've gone about 2 cups of wine and about 2 cups of water. And I did some other things with carrots earlier, and I'm just going to drop in some of the trims of those carrots. The court bouillon is a lot like a stock. So we've got mirepoix type vegetable going in, some celery. You could use onion if you want. I like shallot, especially with this court bouillon. Shallot is not as strong as an onion. It's not as stringent as an onion. I keep the garlic for this whole. So if I think the recipe might call for the equivalent of 1 or 2 cloves of garlic, I just basically double that, keep them whole, and throw that in the liquid. The bay leaf, some fresh thyme if you have it, dry thyme. I think y'all were all able to pick up some fresh thyme, right?
Yes, sir.
I hope. Good. And
Yeah.
so I'm going to use about 1/2 lemon. And I'm gonna squeeze the juice. And I really don't care in here. I don't care if I get a few seeds out in the water.
Mhm.
Get as much of it out as I can. And I'm gonna go ahead and drop that lemon half in there. That's a little bit of flavor bonus. I don't think the recipe calls for that. And now we're gonna crank up the heat. And the burners that I use here at the school, obviously, are big commercial gas burners. And it's only gonna take a minute or so, and we'll be well past a poach. And we'll need to back it off to poaching temperature and to put the salmon in. So while we're waiting on that, I'm just going to twist this a little bit. It's going to be a little tough to see, but I'm going to go ahead and build the same thing for the shrimp. Now, very intentionally for the salmon, I want enough liquid that I will be able to completely cover the salmon. It's called submersion poach, which means we need the salmon all the way completely covered. The shrimp will be shallow poach. So we want the liquid to only come up about halfway up the shrimp. And that's really not a whole lot of liquid in the pan. So I'm going to start with a little white wine here as well. I don't know if that's specifically called for, but we're going to do it. A little orange juice concentrate. I'm also going to put in some shallot, some garlic, thyme goes in there really well. Some carrot. A little celery. I'm going to turn that heat on. Are you able to tell I've got quite a bit less liquid in the pan?
Mhm.
Yes.
Observing the pans, keeping a close. So look at the court bouillon. Look at the first pan, how it's already you can see the bubbles on the side of the pan. You can see that start to move at the surface. We have passed poaching temperature and we're at a simmer right now. There's no need for me to let this go any hotter because it's already hotter than I want. So I'm going to back off the temperature a little bit.
So if you were in a hurry, would you remove it off that eye?
If I was in a hurry,
Or just needing it to reduce faster? Would
well,
you
we don't
remove
want it to reduce. You're talking about reduce the temperature, right?
Yes, yes.
No, because we also want to let this. We want all these flavors, almost like a stock. We want all these flavors to kind of work together in the pan before we just drop the fish in. And so I really do think, I'm trying to remember, I didn't look at the recipe specifically this morning. See how our orange juice is already full on bubbly.
Yes.
We're not ready for that yet, but we will get to that point.
Before we drop the temperature on the court bouillon, did it have enough time to get the flavors it needed
No,
from just the vegetables?
no. But I don't want it to reduce any.
Okay.
So we're just going to leave these and we're going to let both of these go, okay, as they are right now. But we need to pay attention to the level of the liquid in the pan because we don't want to lose very much volume. Otherwise, we're going to concentrate some flavors too much. And we're going to end up with alcohol tasting fish, which is not what we're after. Okay. So we're going to give these time to wake up the carrots, wake up the shallot, wake up the garlic, these herbs. Bay leaf takes a minute. And so while these are doing their thing, which we'll come back in about 12, 15 minutes, maybe not quite that long, let's move to the potatoes. Boil, remember, is 212 degrees and higher. How long we cook the potatoes and how much of a boil we want depends on your plate presentation and how you've cut the potatoes. Okay. I'm going to show you. I did something different. So this is the pan I'm going to boil the potatoes in. And we can kind of keep an eye on the orange at the same time. So it's always a good idea, I think, to start potatoes in cold water.
Why cold water?
Different chefs have different ideas. And to be completely, perfectly honest and transparent with you, my good friends, if you are accustomed to boiling the water and then dropping the potatoes in, that's fine too. They both cook the potatoes. And I do cold water, bring it all up together. Maybe because that's just how I've always done it. And I know chefs that bring the pan up to a boil, like doing rice, and drop the potatoes in boiling water. And I've cooked with chefs side by side, kind of doing experiments, and we end up with the same results. And so if you look at websites that say it changes the starch and it changes the carb structure and blah, 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 I really, really don't think it matters a whole lot, but I'm just telling you what I do. So there, I put in a little bit of salt. Potatoes are one of those things that's very bland, and potatoes, rice, pasta really can benefit from the presence of salt while they're cooking to just bring out a little more flavor of the potatoes. Now, looky here how I cut these little red bliss potatoes. These aren't just cut in half and they're not quartered. And this just, I did it like this because of what I think is in my head for a plate presentation. And so that's what I'm going to do. One of the things I want you to see or notice by me doing this is maybe to give you some context why it is, if you do this in the order that the lab assignments laid out, I want you to be working on, I want you to have your drawing done. And again, y'all have done great. This is not art class. It's not about how good your art is. The point is having some kind of plating concept before you even prep your food. Have your plate design in mind, and that will drive some of your me's. How are you going to cut these vegetables? How much of the protein are you going to use? Just because you have the whole ribeye doesn't mean the whole ribeye needs to go on the plate, right? So if you have a plate design in mind, and some of you have already experienced this, you have a plate design in mind, you draw it out, and now while you're cooking, the food behaves a different way, or you want to go a different direction, great, no worries. But at least you started with something in mind. That's a very important step in the process. So I have something in mind. I didn't draw it out, but we'll see if what I end up with is what I had in mind in the first place. Because I cut these potatoes the way I did, they're not going to take very long to cook. These potatoes are about 1/8 of an inch rondelles. We can call this a rondelle. And at that size, you can already see the water starting to give a little bit of action. And again, that's because of these commercial burners. Something to keep in mind, regulating the temperature for your poaching pans can be a difficulty depending on the stove you're using. Electric stoves, for example, just to keep in mind, you've got to stay there and watch it. You know, the electric burner comes on, right?
Right.
And then it turns off. And so you see that red glow, and then it turns off. And so there's this constant circle of we get a lot of temperature really fast, and it's going to go maybe a few degrees past temperature based on how you have the dial set. And when it goes past the temperature, it's going to kick itself off, like your thermostat on your wall for your HVAC unit. You've got it set, right now you probably have it set for heat, and it's going to heat up your house to a certain point, maybe a little bit past, and then it's going to turn off. And it's going to cool down to a certain point. Rarely does your house stay exactly at that temperature that you want. And so staying with your poach, especially if you have an electric stove, it's not impossible at all, but you got to sit there and play with it. We don't want any movement. We don't want any bubbles. If we do, we're a little bit too high of a temperature. And poach is for very delicate meats like fish. Shrimp can handle some movement. The salmon can't. We get some movement going in the water, and the salmon will fall apart. As it cooks, it'll get more and more flaky. Make sense?
Yes, it does.
Speaking of, we're going to turn this down a little bit. Y'all like fish? We've got good. You like salmon?
Love it.
Not so much.
Yes, love it.
I eat it. It's okay. That's what I'm having tonight. I'm one of those people that, so I love sea bass, halibut,
Trout.
snapper, grouper. I like Caribbean whitefish that doesn't taste like fish. I don't care about being healthy. Can't y'all tell? It's Body by Cheese Whiz. I like salmon, tuna, mackerel, sardines, mahi mahi. Those are all high omega-3 fatty acid fish. That's fish fat, and it's good, healthy fat. And I want ribeye, beef ribeye fat. That's delicious fat. And tuna fat is not delicious fat. It doesn't taste like the ribeye fat. You see where I'm going here with this?
Right.
Our potatoes are just about done. So we're going to move on to, I think we've given our both poaching liquids enough time. So let's look back over here. And maybe I can go like good. There was really nothing to do to the salmon fillets that we got. These are commercially purchased, already portioned salmon fillets. If you do anything in this business, you'll be accustomed to using these over and over. And so we're going to lay that. We're actually a little bit low temperature, low water level. We'd like to be, there we go, completely covered. We can raise the temp back just a little bit. And we're going to cover it. We're going to check it only, we're going to check this in about 5 minutes, and I'm going to show you what you should kind of be looking for.
So chef, with all that stuff that you have in that pot, how many salmon could you actually put in there? How many salmon servings could you put in that same pot?
I would go maybe the size salmon that we're working with.
Yeah, to say same exact setup. Could you put 3 in that pot or just?
Yeah, I'd go 4. I wouldn't go any more than 4.
Okay.
And that's just because the room in the pot. You can do 3 or 4, take those out, let those rest. They don't need to rest like beef does, but put another 3 or 4 in if you're, that's called batch cooking. I just wouldn't want to crowd the pan, because then if you start moving, you're gonna break apart one fillet while you're playing with another.
Gotcha.
I'm going to do the same thing with this other pan. And you notice very intentionally, this is called shallow poach. We've got all this flavor going here, but the shrimp's not completely covered. And that's okay, it'll cook. We're going to cover it. Our potatoes are really nice and happy. Oh. I'll show you some potatoes. Oh, looky there. If I take my knife, we want to be fork tender just barely pierces the potatoes. The larger the potatoes, the
More time.
little more time. you check those out. I need one of these. Yeah, here we go.
Hey, Chef,
Yes, ma'am.
just a little FYI, it is sleeting outside.
Well, we're actually we're actually about done. This meal comes together again, a reason for properly and completely doing your meals.
Mhm.
When it's time to cook, we're just assembling, we're just putting stuff together.
Okay. Well, I know you're at the school, so I just wanted you to be aware of that in case, you know.
Thank you. I appreciate that because the last time, that Wednesday that we got all that sleet, 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
I left the school, and here in Saline County, there was sleet bouncing off the cars and on the road. But by the time I hit Maumelle, sleet was kind of packing up on the sides of the road. And by the time I hit between Mayflower and Conway, the road, I-40 was a sheet of ice.
Yeah.
And by the time I hit the backside, I call it the backside, the last Conway exit before Menifee and Plumerville and then Morrilton, by the time I hit the last Conway exit, I-40 was about 4 inches thick.
Wow.
And it was a complete sheet of ice to Morrilton.
Yeah.
And it took me 3.5 hours
Oh my.
from the culinary school to my house. And it's normally, I do tend to drive just maybe a little bit faster than this, a little bit. It generally takes me about 45 to 50 minutes.
Mhm. Okay.
58 miles, driveway to parking lot. I'm 58 miles. And
Right.
it's 3.5 hours to go 58 miles
Wow.
a day. So right now it's been warm enough. I'm not real too concerned about the road, and
Right.
we'll be out of here in a little bit. I'm not sure.
Conway, it's not doing anything crispy up here.
Do what? Say it again.
I'm in Conway. It's not doing anything right now here, so.
Okay. I don't respect the weather like I should. I'll just drive. I'll take the 3 hours to drive home or do whatever. But I just surely hope they don't close school, because we've had all these twice now. We've had to cancel classes and stuff, and I kind of like my job. Potatoes. Look, I'm adding just, and I don't think you have this in the recipe. I'm adding just a little drizzle of olive oil. Okay. I'm adding just a squeeze of lemon, because that is going to go really nice with everything else that's going to be on the plate. And I'm going to be using my fingers to get these out, so I'm not really concerned about the couple of seeds I just got in there just now. Notice that I'm doing this while the potatoes are still in this steamer basket or this mesh strainer. I want to let all the residual liquid drip off. I don't want to plate my potatoes in a pool of lemon juice and olive oil. I want to let them, I want to let whatever oil there is kind of drain off before I plate. I'm going to go ahead and give these just barely a little extra splash of salt. We'll get a little color for the plate presentation if we go ahead and add some pepper. And I'm going to give these some of those chopped.
Mhm.
Come back to that in a minute. Now, I want you to see here. The salmon looks like. Now, every fillet, every fish is going to be just a little bit different. I'm going to see if I can get this down here just a little bit closer, so you get a pretty decent look. Now notice, it's opaque everywhere. You can make out the individual flake lines. You've gone too far if you see a little bit of milky white substance coming up through those flake lines. Okay, if you see milky white, you've cooked it so far, and you would think sitting in liquid, can you dry it out? Yes. You're going to extrude, you force out some of that omega, some of the fat, the fish fat. You want to leave it there in place, just like any other animal. Fat is flavor. So I hope you can see it clear enough.
Yeah, I can.
In these cameras, I'm using a fish spatula. Your salmon should be firm. That's one of the reasons why we're using salmon to do this and not some other fish. This fish spatula helps a whole lot because it's light and it doesn't forcefully manhandle the fillet. Set it off in a pan to just rest, just for a bit, okay? And we'll turn that burner off. So we can also look at maybe I can just move the whole thing over like so. You can even see the shrimp is pink, it's opaque. It hasn't started to do overcooked ugly shrimp curl. You want to feel it so that it's firm all the way through. We're going to pull this out. Good. We'll come back to the fish in a bit. And I've got a little bit of wine left, and I'm just going to use that to wash out this little bit of orange juice I still have. And I'm going to raise the temperature so I can reduce this liquid almost to a glaze. I don't want you to misunderstand. I want a sauce, but I want something that is going to be tight enough that I can spoon it onto the plate and it's going to kind of stay in place. It's not run out all over the plate everywhere. And so that's just going to take a couple of minutes. While this is reducing, we're going to go to the last component. It's very Italian. So we're doing a little bit of European fusion. We're mixing some French, which is this poach, and the boiled potatoes. That's all very French, but we're going to do spinach and tomato, which is very, very Italian. And so here we go with that. Another pan. This is that last smaller saute. We start the heat. And bacon. Now listen, if you start the bacon in a cold pan, you will render out more fat. And we're going to use that fat. That's going to create delicious flavor. And we saute the tomatoes and we saute the spinach with it. So you can crank the heat up, but put the bacon in a cold pan. And I think I intended to give y'all, I don't know, 2 or 3 ounces, which should have been about 2 or 3 slices. This is 3 slices in the pan right now. So that's how much bacon you got. You use all of it, use none of it. Go get some more bacon, make the perfect dish, and make your lardons of bacon and put those in the pan, and then have your tomatoes cut and the spinach cut and show it the pan and wave it off to the side again and finish off the bacon, and then just eat that. And that's a perfect dinner. Did y'all follow that line of thinking? This whole meal is just about
You're
bacon.
a mess, Chef. You're a mess.
Well, I'm a mess of bacon. My kids call me a ham. My daughters call me a ham, and my son reminds them that you are what you eat. And so I'm made of ham, bacon, sausage, and Cheese Whiz.
And Diet Dr. Pepper.
Yes, and I don't actually eat Cheese Whiz, so just if y'all were worried about anything. Somebody, we really do need to smell a vision.
Yes, we do.
Because if y'all could smell what's going on in the Gold Lab right now here at the culinary school, wowzers. There's some deliciousness going on here.
So you turned your fire down on your Cobion?
Yeah, when it starts sizzling a lot, you can turn it down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too concerned about this getting really, really crispy. I'm not after crunchy bacon, but I am after food safe bacon. It needs to cook all the way through. We don't want to serve raw bacon, but brown it pretty fair. And then I finally diced a little bit of onion. I've got some minced garlic. And so I might have cheated here just a little bit. Well, it's not a cheat. It's I think y'all picked up 1 or 2 Roma tomatoes.
Yes.
One.
Yes.
Really fine, but yesterday afternoon we got these really beautiful heirloom grape tomatoes.
Oh no.
So I got a few of these grape tomatoes, and I cut these in half.
I grow heirloom tomatoes. Some
Grape
have a passion for heirloom tomatoes.
garlic. Do you grow tomatoes, Terry?
Yes.
Do you want some?
Well, not last summer because of the accident. I didn't grow anything at all because I couldn't work with my hands. But the summers before, one summer I had 37 tomato bushes, stalks.
What kind of tomato?
I like the big boys, and I grow a lot of the pear tomatoes. I love the little pear tomatoes.
Uh-huh.
Cherry tomatoes. I think celebrity tomatoes.
Okay, yep.
I grow a lot of tomatoes.
Look at these pretty things.
Mm-hmm. In case anybody wanted to know, I order a lot of my tomatoes from my seed book because I collect seeds. So if
Yep.
you're ever interested, Baker Creek Farms have some of the best heirloom tomatoes. Just a little plug.
Do any of y'all can?
I
You do any
have.
canning, preserving?
I have. When I was married, my husband's family they own a tomato farm down in, you heard of Bradley County tomatoes?
Yes,
No.
I have.
Yes, Bradley County tomatoes. They own a lot of land. So they own a big tomato farm. So we'll have boxes and boxes in my not my sunroom, but my dining room. And I will have to create things to do with all those tomatoes every year. So canning became my thing of passion.
Keep a little bowl of the cherry tomatoes out on my table because my grandson, who is 2.5, eats them like candy. He loves them.
Yeah. I didn't always like tomatoes growing up. I hated them, but yeah.
Okay, these little grape tomatoes,
Yeah.
when the
Those are pretty.
skins start to blister just a little bit, now we're gonna add the spinach. Y'all are using baby spinach. You don't need to pull the stems. The stems of this spinach are
Tender.
and tender. Larger spinach, something real fibrous like a Savoy spinach. You've got to pull the stems because they're a different mouthfeel. And y'all know that spinach shrinks in volume. Looks like you pile a whole lot. And I've got probably 4 cups. And that's going to end up being maybe about 2 servings. Is it? Look at all that in there. Something else you have to be aware of with spinach. Spinach will give off water. You got to be aware of that whenever you plate it. Because it can have, you can end up with water on your plate. And that is not very appealing. I feel.
That looks so good.
One thing you can do to avoid giving off too much water is called wilted spinach. And so we reach this point where the leaves just start to wilt. Basically, don't cook it to death. Turn the heat off. If it's an electric stove, completely remove it from the heat. Now I want to give that also just a little salt. Maybe a little bit of pepper. And Mamma mia. All right. Oh, beautiful. So let's go over here to our plate. And I've got a camera that is just right. I keep doing that. Got a camera that's right in the way. So that you can exactly see what I think I'm going to do.
That poor camera is working so hard to focus.
Do what?
Your poor camera is working so hard to focus. It's in and out and in and out and in and out.
Well, my hand's going in and out and in and out. That's, I'm sorry, ruins the whole thing. But
We're
there,
gonna survive.
and so now from here, let's do. Sometimes some things you might want to be a little bit deliberate
Mhm.
about its placement so that you can see color. Oh, there we go. It kind of focused. More or less. Be very careful moving around and placing fish because it falls apart really, really easily. And now let's go to
So
So
now
fancy,
our cardinal
fancy tartar
rule.
sauce, huh?
What happened?
Is that fancy tartar sauce?
Fancy tartar sauce.
No, I'm teasing.
So Chef, we're going against our rule of putting something on top of
On
the,
top, yeah.
Oh, I was thinking about that.
Hey, yeah, y'all get over it.
it's back to what Arlene was saying earlier. She's like, it's not a really attractive looking
Piece of fish.
protein when you're done with it, so.
Hey, Chef,
Yes,
could this have been sous vide as well?
absolutely. It's gonna be hard to do with the camera right there. So this is gonna go really blurry. So just close your eyes for a minute or. All right, see if y'all remember your cuts.
Lozenge.
The lozenge, I don't, that's the one I do not like.
Some of these curl pretty well. So I took some celery finally cut it and placed it in ice water. Just the color of it is not as vibrant as I would like. We can finish that now with just a little, maybe a little splash of the chives.
Looks good.
I don't know what do you
That's a pretty
think?
plate.
I like it. Abstract.
So that's fine. Think that way. Think abstract. Does everything have to be symmetrical?
No.
No. Can you put everything just in one half of the plate? Yeah.
Yes.
Don't plate just like this. This was just, I don't know, something in my head. You do what's in your head. Okay. What questions do you have about poaching? Poaching your salmon, poaching your shrimp?
I don't have any.
I don't either.
You pretty much explained it all.
What else you want to talk about?
Like, do we have to only boil the potatoes? Are we allowed to put them in the oven or anything, or do they need to be boiled?
Kitchen.
So, the main emphasis of what we're doing in this class is it's not just the proteins, but those are our main cooking methods. And I think all of you are good enough that you can boil a daggone potato. I hope so. I do want you to submersion poach the salmon. I want you to shallow poach the shrimp and build a plate. Whether you exactly do what I did with the spinach, if you want to use all the stuff you got from the school, all of your basket, if you want to do something else for a veg, if you want to do something else completely and not do potatoes, I'm okay with that. If you are going to use the potatoes, but do something different with those potatoes, maybe a little bit of warning. And I'm not talking about a warning for your grade or anything like that. You picked up red Bliss potatoes.
Right.
Red potatoes are waxy potatoes. They boil really well without falling apart. They're a more fibrous, they're a denser potato. Red potatoes, great potato salad. Potato salad that's not going to turn into mashed potatoes when you mix it up. Russet potatoes, great baked potato. Red potato, not so much. So if you're going to use the red potatoes, roasted, red potatoes are great roasted. Boiled, just know they're hearty and they're firm. I wouldn't, you go to a restaurant and you buy skin on red potato mashed potatoes, those potatoes are cut with other potatoes. Probably a 50-50 blend of a russet potato with the red potatoes. Otherwise, you would have a mashed potato that's really grainy, if that makes sense. So just keep that in mind.
I wondered that because that was always weird to me.
What, the mashed red potatoes?
It makes sense. So yeah, a blend makes sense.
Same with cauliflower. If you're going to do mashed potatoes with it and it'd be cauliflower, you can't put it just on the plate as just cauliflower. because it's really, really, really loose. And it's a real thin puree. If you're going to use that as a sauce, then just plain cauliflower, good to go. Anyway, that was a little bit of a rabbit hole. Next week, let's chat about next week a little bit. Okay. I am, because this is an online class and because we all choose an online class for different reasons, I'm not going to require you to be here at the culinary school for the chef's ball. Generally, if we have class during an event, you're required. I mean, it's part of class. You're required to be here at the event. A couple of you have already volunteered, and I've entered all that stuff. I am giving 50 extra credit points for 4 hours of work. I'm not giving 50 extra credit points for every 4 hours of work. So if you come and work every single possible thing, you're here in the morning to set up, you're here in the middle of the day to prep, you work the event, and you help clean up at the end of the day, you be here 12 or 14 hours, I'm not giving you 150 points. I'll give you a pat on the back and my thanks. And I'll share with you all the Dr. Pepper that I'll go to the store and I'll buy some more. But again, I think I mentioned this last week. It's an opportunity. There's a lot of stuff to see. There are some other chefs to rub shoulders with. And it's just it's a fun time. A couple of you, I think in here, you've asked to work with me. Thank you, flattered, gonna need your help. Those of you that, if you're helping me, if you can be here noonish, 1-ish till 4 or 5 or something in there, man, that's perfect. And I'll have you in this class, I'll have my Food 2 students. We're gonna make bacon jam. And we're going to make it's not really apple chutney, but it's, I guess we could call it loosely an apple relish from some Honeycrisp apples. And I'm going to have y'all do that. I've got a few Food 1 people that want to help. They're going to do all the cutting and slicing and dicing. They're going to shred cheese and cut some bread. And that's all we're doing in my station. We're doing my interpretation, modernized interpretation of a Welsh rarebit, little garlic crostini, apple bacon jam, smoked cheddar and smoked Gouda. Melted on just with a torch so it doesn't all over the place. And a little apple relish, just more like a garnish right on the top. And we have to make about 300 of those. That's all.
Do we need to send an email or a text that those are the hours that will be there?
Oh, shoot me an email.
Okay.
A couple of you already have. Have it if you email me, no worries. I got you.
And Chef,
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
okay, so I told you the time I'll be there. I also know I told you I'll probably stay until the end. However, let me say this, because I've been off work for 2 days because of this. It's swollen real bad. I just took the wrist off so I can be in class. But everything is contingent on this. So I'll still be there. And I'll do my 4 hours at the very least. But after 4 or 5 hours, I may have to rest this.
No worries.
Yeah.
And you were wanting to work with me. I've got some chores to do that will not be taxing on your wrist.
Okay.
So we can still stay busy, and stuff that needs to be done. This isn't just throwaway stuff, but the crostinis need to be buttered and little garlic on and stuff. That's something that's not gonna You won't have a knife in your hand and blah, blah, blah. Maybe you're standing at the stove caramelizing the onions
Perfect.
that other people have chopped. That takes a little bit of time to do it right. And so anyway, there's plenty of stuff to do.
Okay.
No worries.
All right.
Where do we go when we go to the school?
Good question.
You're not going to be hanging out in your office.
I won't be hanging out in my office. Y'all are familiar with the Gold Lab?
Yes.
When you get the front of the culinary school and you walk in the front door, when y'all walk in the loading dock to go into purchasing to, get your bags, that's the back, the back door. The opposite side of the building, you can park on the side or right in the front and go in the front door. And when you walk in the front door, there's the vestibule, the large atrium. When
Right.
you walk in the front door, immediately on your left are some large glass windows. That is the Chef Theater. Still to the left, just past the Chef Theater, is one door and a window that is for the mixology, the professional beverage and wine studies class. And then another door and a whole long big bank of windows. That's the Gold Lab.
Okay.
There's a fish bowl. It's display cooking. There may be some other chefs that are filling up the Gold Lab. I'll have the back area of the Gold Lab. I'm just going to take that over. I have Food One Tuesday morning, and so they will have already probably cut and chopped and sliced some stuff. But I'll be right here in the Gold Lab. So you can't miss it. It says Gold Lab. Room 124. You walk in the front door in uniform, hats as well, or shave your head, be bald like me and have to wear a hat like me. So your choice, whatever floats your boat. Ladies with bald hair, I don't know. I've seen G.I. Jane. Or I don't know. Anyway.
I'll pass. Not this time.
Okay, well then hats.
Okay.
Your non-slip shoes, our standard uniform, being at home, in an online environment, I don't see your pants. I don't see black socks. I don't see if your shoes are non-slip shoes. And that's a pretty much a standard in the industry, but it's for safety. It's kind of required at the school. Erlene knows that. Erlene did Food One in person. So
Right.
there you go. And I would say for medical reasons, for example, if you need to nibble on something at a particular time, you might want to bring your little snack, your energy bar, protein bar, blah, blah, whatever, and you can step out and have something. Don't count on, there's not a mealtime, and don't count on eating while we're working. That's a pretty big sanitation no-no in a professional kitchen. There's a Coke machine. Doesn't always have everything in it. It's run by the UAPTC Foundation, and there is a little diner in the South Campus building across the parking lot. I'm not sure if it's open, so I shouldn't have said that because I really don't know for certain. But especially after the event's over, if you're here that long, we're shooting for being done about 7:30,
Okay.
all completely cleaned up and leaving the building about 8:30. PD likes to lock everything up around 9 or 9:30. So that's kind of our goal. This is not a long drawn out event, even though we're planning, I think there's 100 and 180, 190 tickets that have been sold. So that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, what time does the event start and what time does that event end?
Starts at 5:30, ends when it's over.
Oh, okay.
The purpose of the Chef's Ball every year is awarding American Culinary Federation awards. Who won Chef of the Year, who won Student Chef of the Year, who won Pastry Chef of the Year and Student Pastry Chef of the Year, Chef Educator of the Year, Chapter Professionalism Award, la, la, la. There's lots of awards. And usually it's a 10-course dinner and a course is served and an award is given. And then the next course is served and an award is given. This will not be a sit-down 10-course dinner, but we've turned those 10 courses into a large, heavy hors d'oeuvre buffet. And out here in the atrium, downstairs and upstairs, we'll be setting up my buffet table, and each of those courses are just going to be appetizers. So our guests that have purchased tickets are just going to come to eat and drink. And we prepare all of this food for 150, 180 people to eat, and everybody takes a few bites of stuff and they drink all night long.
Okay.
And
So
when
is there, as they come to our table or whatever, is there talking involved? Like we have to explain what we prepared and all that?
No,
Okay.
not really.
Just serve and,
Yeah.
okay.
And I'll prepare you for that just in case people ask, because if you're helping serve, I mean, when we're all done and the event is going on, I'll be at this table, we'll all be at this table, and somebody's going to come up. Some people are just going to come up, grab it. They're carrying on conversations, and they're going to drink, and they're going to eat a little bit more. If we have 20 people, maybe one will be really, really interested in, okay, what do you call this? What is it? So there's not going to be talking.
Okay.
I can do most of the talking. I talk just fine.
I don't mind. I was just gonna ask, or will you prepare us for that? So you answered
Yes.
that. Okay. Okay.
What else?
I think that's it.
So the last thing I wanted to ask y'all, the last thing we need to cover has to do with next week. Because we're doing what we're doing, I'm gonna give y'all an option. My preference would be that you still pick up groceries for next week. It's STEAM. And you learn you're going to pick up snapper, I think. That's what Meat and Seafood are breaking down this week. And so you're going to learn to cook your fish inside of a parchment package. You'll steam it in the oven. It's called en papillote. And my preference would be that y'all are okay doing that. We have the Chef's Ball, but you're okay doing that sometime later on in the week anyway. We won't Zoom, obviously, unless you really want to. And maybe we could Zoom on Wednesday, but I can't hold you to that because you got, maybe church or you got other plans, and we didn't schedule that. If that doesn't sound fair or if that doesn't sound right, I believe in a democratic process, and because of the product, well, the fish would be in the freezer. I just don't see how we'll be able to double up and do 2 labs at the same time with product ordered a certain way and
Mhm.
a do y'all feel okay with moving forward and doing the lab next week, even though we won't be doing this next week?
I'm good with the rest of what everybody else wants.
I'm fine with it.
I'm
Okay.
good.
I think we'll just wing it and see how we do. And then if we fail at it, we'll just write up that we failed at it. We need your help and you'll show us how to do it.
I'm with Tara.
Do you have videos on the process already, or you just want us
Yes,
to
yes,
YouTube? Oh, okay.
yes.
Okay, that's other than
Okay.
that, I'm good.
Okay.
Just as long as you're not cutting the yard again and playing in your garden and going back to the kitchen, okay?
You didn't like that?
You went back with your clothes on, that is not sanitary, sir.
Well, as long as you take your apron off first.
Did I miss something? What?
Oh, on his quiche
When
video.
he did the
Quiche.
video for the quiche, he went outside, mowed the lawn in a chef jacket and played in the garden.
Yeah, y'all know I didn't actually mow my lawn, and I just had my wife take the camera. I just got that idea. Hey, that would be really cool to, while the quiche is baking, what am I doing? So I include, I had like a little kid's book, and I was taking a nap on the couch, and I mowed the lawn. I pushed the lawnmower, but I was in my chef coat. I did go out in the garden and bend over, look like I was playing in the dirt. Wasn't working in the garden, and I didn't mow my lawn. Y'all, when we do smoking, I think I got a couple of cute videos in there as well. Have y'all seen that? Have y'all seen that lady? She was like in Oklahoma, I think, and her apartment was on fire, and she was on the news. She was describing it. It hit YouTube and went viral, huge.
Yeah,
You talking about that woman where she say, "Lord Jesus, it's a fire"?
it's a fire.
Yeah. And she said she got her kids and she bounced because I ain't going to get burned up today. Not today.
I remember.
Yeah. That's in the smoking video. Because that's
You
my
did a
sense
good job.
that's my sense of humor.
That's exactly how she did it. Okay.
Hey, if there's nothing else, is there anything else?
No.
No.
Have a good night. Think about before you cook anything, how do you think you want your plate to look? And then let that drive your meats, the kinds of cuts you do, and then go from there. Good luck
Okay.
poaching your shrimp and your salmon.
Salmon.
All right, I got to clean up.
All right. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Good night,
right.
y'all.
Good night, y'all.
Bye-bye.